Hola clase! It's time for another action-packed screencast, this time to explain the first grammar point in Chapter 1, Capítulo 1, Gramática 1.3 on all your assignments. This is going to cover articles, nouns, and adjectives, artículos, sustantivos, y adjetivos. And really the big thing with this chapter is that we're going to have to really start to focus on masculine, feminine, and also singular and plural. We've talked a lot about this over the last couple weeks, but with this chapter we're really going to start to study it in depth and see how everything is always connected. Masculine is always connected to masculine words and endings. Feminine is always connected to feminine words and endings, and singular plural comes into play as well. So the first thing we really want to take a look at is what it looks like in our book. So to find it, we go to eStudio. We're still on Capítulo 1, but this time we're going through Gramática, and then the first section is artículos y sustantivos, and again that means articles and nouns. So that's what I'm going to talk about first. So when we talk about articles and nouns, the name of a person, place, or a thing is a noun. That's the same in English and in Spanish. But in Spanish, every noun has a gender, either masculine or feminine. We've been talking a lot about that, and this time we're really going to study it. So it says here, almost all nouns that end in O are masculine, almost all nouns that end in A are feminine. And we've seen this. That's not 100% true, but for our purposes in this chapter, this early in the game, then that's going to be what we're looking for. So nouns is pretty easy, a person, place, or thing. But an article, this is probably something you don't know too much about. But every language has them. We have them in English as well. So the word the is called a definite article. Because when you say the book, you're talking about a definite item. It's a specific item. In Spanish, it says the definite article is el or la. You use el with masculine and la with feminine. That's just how it goes. That's why it's always listed on the vocab list, to show you masculine or feminine. For example, what they're trying to show us here is that el goes with muchacho. There's no such thing as la muchacho, because la is for feminine, la goes with muchacha. So el muchacho, la muchacha, el amigo, la amiga, el curso, la escuela. So el goes with masculine, la goes with feminine. They're also showing you here that there's two more ways to say the word the. El goes to los and la goes to las. So really there are four ways. We have el, la, los, and las to say the word the, which is a little bit confusing to think about at the beginning, but it's very, very organized. Los muchachos, it rhymes. Las muchachas, it rhymes. Los amigos, las amigas, los cursos, las escuelas. So those are pretty clear examples of how to match them up. It's not always that clear, but again, we're just starting out, and for our studying purposes, it is that clear. El, la, los, and las are our four ways to say the, and the is a definite article because we're saying stuff like the boy, specific boy, the boys, specific boys. Now, if you scroll down, and I'm shifting over because these are just screenshots, but if you scroll down in the book, you see point number 3 and 4. A, an, and some are called indefinite articles, so that's when you're trying to say a boy or some boys, right? Because those are indefinite, not a specific one. So again, there's 4 different versions of the indefinite article. We have un, una, unos, unas. And these are the same words that you saw over here. But instead of saying the boy, we're just saying a boy. And the boys changes to some boys. Okay, so these are the indefinite articles. So we have definite and indefinite articles. It's the same in English. You just usually probably wouldn't think about it that way. And point number 4 here is, some of you figured this out last week. When a noun ends in E, the letter E, you have to learn whether it is masculine or feminine, and I showed you this on your vocab list with la clase. Clase, even though it ends in E, is a feminine word, but then we have other words like continente, which ends in the E, that's masculine. Continentes, los continentes, so el goes to los. La clase changes to las clases. So you see, the point of all this, the articles and the nouns, is that they always have to match. So you have to constantly be thinking as you're writing and using these words. Is it masculine, feminine, singular, or plural? And that's really what we're trying to get your program doing with this first chapter. So now we're going to jump down a section here. We're going to go to adjetivos, the adjectives. Okay? So this is the next extension of the masculine, feminine, singular, plural thing, because adjectives are attached to nouns as well. So that means they have to also be masculine, feminine, singular, plural. So let's take a look at this. It says it's a word that describes or modifies a noun. Yeah, it's the same. In Spanish, unlike English, the adjective must agree with the noun in gender, masculine or feminine, and number, singular or plural. So if the adjective is ending in O, we have el muchacho argentino, los muchachos argentinos. Everything has to change. When we go from boy, the Argentinian boy, to the Argentinian boys, in English that's one letter difference. In Spanish, everything has to change. Los muchacho changes to muchachos, and then argentino, the adjective, also has to be pluralized. Same thing when you do a girl. La muchacha argentina, las muchachas argentinas. So o-a, os, and as, right? Everything has to always match. If it ends in E, it gets a little bit different. So el curso, masculine word, but then interesante, we don't actually have to make it an O, but in this case, this word is masculine. And we haven't seen too many of these yet, but the adjectives that end in a consonant, for example, fácil, which is easy. So you have el curso, fácil. Again, we don't have to actually put an O on there to make it match. So fácil just happens to match as it is. But when we pluralize, look what happens. Los cursos fáciles. We have to add es, okay, when it ends in a consonant. We don't have too many of those on our vocab list, but it's just for you to know. And the last point that they want you to see, and that's important for you to know, and again, some of you have already picked up on this, and we've talked about this in class, is that when you're talking about boys and girls in the same group, Juan y Jose son alumnos buenos. Those are two boys, and it says they are good students. Alumnos buenos, good students. Maria y Teresa, two girls, son alumnas buenas. Okay, two girls. But now we have Jose y Teresa, that's a boy and a girl. We go back to alumnos buenos, right? So the masculine takes the precedent over that. And that's just to keep the language organized. That's not because boys are better than girls or anything like that. So again, when you talk about boys and girls, you go back to the masculine form. And the last thing we want to do here is fill out our notes. You have to download these. Again, you can come back to this. You can flip back and forth or whatever, but I'm going to help you fill in these notes here. So we'll use red. Okay. So we go definite article, the, sorry about that, the, and masculine singular is el, feminine singular is la, then we go los and las for the plural. Again, you're looking at everything on this side is singular, plural, everything up here is masculine, and then that's feminine. So that's how to read that chart. And all four of those mean the. When we go to the indefinite article, it's a, an, or some. So masculine is going to be un, feminine is going to be una. Then when we say some, it's unos, unas. Okay? So we have a, an on this side, a or an. Sorry about that. A or an. And then on this side, we have the plural, which is some. So unos muchachos would be some boys. And then we have a girl or some girls. For example, unas muchachas versus una muchacha. So un muchacho, unos muchachos. Una muchacha, unas muchachas. And again, here are the translations for this.